Hello everyone, this is the Protector here. Basically, everyone and their mother has their opinion on what The Elder Scrolls 6 should be like, what they want and what not. Well, in this video, I'll be giving you my take on the matter. However, before I start, let me tell you right off the bat that I am in no way an expert in The Elder Scrolls lore, like, let's say, Fudge Muppet or ESO. By the way, if you've got the time, go take a look at their channels if you haven't already. These are amazing channels for any The Elder Scrolls fan. Also, please note that I first got into the Elder Scrolls saga with the Skyrim, like many other gamers, and that I have barely played any other game of the series. However, I do have well over 1500 hours on that game alone, and my opinion will be based mainly on that game lore and not the whole series. Also, please note that this opinion is based on, yes indeed, the lore, but also what I know of business mentality and human comportment as a whole. So, this video is not necessarily about what I want the game to be, but rather what I expect the game to be. Skyrim was, and still is, over 10 years later, an amazing game. An amazing game which success will be hard but not impossible to surpass. The fans know it, and the developers know it too. First of all, we already know that the new game will be based, at least in part, in Hammerfell. We also know that there is a legend in Hammerfell about sword singers, who are basically the Redguard version of the Norse Dragonborn. They could try to go with an all-new story and take a huge risk financially speaking, but given the cost of production, a game that flops is as bad as a movie that flops for any company. So my first guess is that the people at Bethesda are gonna take the easy and safer path and try to remake Skyrim, but on an Hammerfell background. Another matter that is to be taken into consideration, and that is messing up with any sequel plotline to Skyrim, is the Civil War questline. If you played Skyrim, you most likely also chose a side in the war and led that faction to victory. The problem with this is no matter which side the devs decide is victorious, they will most likely enrage the supporters of the other faction. I mean, they were literally playing with the future of a whole country or empire with that questline, so they cannot just ignore it. Therefore, they basically have four options. Option number one is an Imperial victory, which will keep Skyrim into an unified empire and piss off Stormcloak supporter. Option number two is a Stormcloak victory, which will make Skyrim an independent country and most likely lead to the collapse of the empire and also piss off the supporters of the empire. Option number three is to ignore the results of the war and set the game in a new era, most likely hundreds of years after the events of Skyrim, barely referencing the Civil War, and insulting the intelligence of everyone who played Skyrim and pissing off everyone. The fourth option, and that is my personal favorite option, is to mention the Civil War, but set the game in the same time or very shortly after the events in Skyrim, making the unknown outcome much more believable, as news take a lot of time to travel in a world without internet or mass medias. It would also save the script writers a lot of grief, and perhaps even make a good code for Mike the Liar. We can also safely assume that at the time of the events in Skyrim, it was also a time of great turmoil for the whole empire. I mean, you had a civil war menacing to break up the whole empire, Talmor agents acting as a secret police in all of Tamriel, and sighting of dragons all over the place. By the 9, there was even dragons over Solstheim, which is basically a part of Morrowind. So that later option would perfectly fit a Skyrim but an Hammerfell plotline, as the main character, a sword singer, would be sent by the gods to help save Hammerfell from whatever danger. It could be a second Talmor invasion of Hammerfell, creating some sort of political tension with their neighbors, an example High Rock, which is rumored to be featured in either the base game or a DLC. Damn it, they could even bring back the whole dragon thing. Also, as much as I respect those who have a much deeper knowledge of the whole lore of the Elder Scrolls, we must keep in mind that by the time the new Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, Skyrim will be nearly 20 years old. So most people who will buy that game will either be brand new to the Elder Scrolls universe, or will only have played Skyrim or the Elder Scrolls Online beforehand. So I doubt they will dive very deep into the older lore here. So yeah, that is basically what I think will happen in the Elder Scrolls 6. I could be right or I could be wrong. Only time will tell. Thanks for watching, everyone.